it's time to get shoveling. Winter squash, with their varied shapes and vivid colours, are a highlight of the summer and early autumn garden. Give each plant plenty of space and they will need little intervention, growing rapidly to cover the ground. Their skins toughen as they ripen, creating a seal that allows fruit to stand on the soil and to store easily from late autumn until early the following summer. The dense orange flesh has high nutritional value by weight, and its sweetness increases after harvest. Squash are distinct from pumpkins, which are larger, thinner skinned and have more watery flesh, meaning they rarely keep beyond December. I haven't grown Harlequin or any winter squash before this year, so I was absolutely chuffed to grow this beauty, and today I have just cut it in half and added extra virgin olive oil, a good quality one if you can find it, salt and pepper, and I'm roasting it in the oven for about 45 minutes, and I will be making a delicious autumn soup with it in replacement of the usual butternut squash. I'm using the seeds from within the squash to make a delicious, tasty, crispy topping, so I am adding extra virgin olive oil, pepper, garlic, salt, paprika, cumin and turmeric, and about half a teaspoon of each, or a good shake, and I'm roasting these in the oven for about 10 minutes, but making sure you take them out for a good stir every 2 minutes or so. And here we have it, the lovely soft squash and crispy seeds. Hello and welcome back to the allotment and a new video this week. I hope you are doing really well and you had a lovely week. Yesterday I had an exciting delivery, and you will know what I mean if you like to garden, of manure. So I've got a ton of manure, quite literally, the other side of the allotment. So I need to do a lot of lugging today to move that over to the allotment, and I'm hoping to get a little bit of that on some of the beds to start rotting down over winter in preparation for spring. I'm also going to plant out the onions that I started in little modules today and get the hoops ready for netting the onions and the garlic. So a lot to do in a few hours before the daylight starts to disappear. So without further ado, I'm firstly going to go and check on those onions and hope that they're doing okay. And I think I'm going to get those in first, as that seems like a nice first job to do before I start to get quite dirty, probably, with moving all of that plot. These onions are really starting to sprout now. Some of them don't have any green yet, but I am sure they're doing okay. So I'm going to plant out all of the ones that are sprouting, or get as many as I can in the ground. And these cabbages really do need to get in the ground too, but first I need to give them a water. Looking at this ground here, I don't think I'm actually going to put any more compost or manure on here for the onions, because this had such a thick layer before I planted the Three Sisters in late spring, early summer, that I think there's plenty of goodness in here still already, and then I can always give it a little top dressing in spring. So that's one less job to do today, so let's get these in the ground. I've raked over this bed ready for the onions, I'm going to go and get my hoops out of the car, and I picked up 2 different sizes from First Tunnels because I would like to try their hoops out as well and just compare them against the Harrod horticulture ones that I bought and popped over the other side. The size that I'm going to put on this bed is 1.5 metres wide because this is a slightly bigger bed, and I just want to make sure that I'm not planting any of the onions outside of that net area. And talking of net, I do need to go and get some more netting to stop the birds pinching my onions, and actually I might have to do that sooner rather than later, thinking about it. Gosh, they're really quite heavy. So unlike the Harrod horticulture ones, these come in 2 parts, so I think I need to join them together to make a hoop. They also feel heavier, I think, so I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to get them to stand up in the soil very well without kind of burying something into the ground. So I'll have to have a think and I'll give it a try. Okay, these are definitely bigger, much wider, so certainly large enough for this bed, so I'm not going to have to worry about how far I go out after all. I definitely need to rethink my plan of securing these into the ground though, because it's not quite the same as when I put the hoops in the raised pallet collar beds there, because the wood held them in, whereas here there's nothing to hold them in, so they're a bit more wobbly. I've now put 47 radar onions in this bed, so I've got 13 left to plant somewhere else, but that's across 7 rows, so that's very exciting. My fingers are really crossed that they grow and they don't rot and the slugs don't attack them, and etc, etc, many of the things that could happen to them. I've also gone through the motions of creating lovely neat lines versus doing a little bit higgledy-piggledy, so there's a combination there. And hopefully they'll be okay and they won't look a complete mess when they grow, but the main thing is that they grow. So I've planted them about, what I was doing originally was just doing kind of a hand's distance apart, but it's probably more like anything between 4 to 6 inches I have planted them apart, and then slightly wider on the rows. So I now have onions in the majority of this bed, it turns out, and then I've got my garlic down this end, and I did bring some more garlic with me. I didn't need to plant any more garlic or buy any more garlic because I had so much from the garlic farm, but I saw a pack of 2 bulbs in a local garden centre and I just couldn't resist because it was a different variety. So I think I might not have enough time to get those in now, but I did buy another variety called Thermidor. I need Thermodrome. So I just need to have a think about where I can put those bulbs as well. I can have a little break now, as it's surprising how much energy it takes even just planting onion sets, and then do the job of shoveling. I actually managed to get these hoops, I always forget what the word hoop is, into the ground, and I think they're sturdier than I thought, so they should be okay actually. But I don't have any netting to go over that's wide enough to cover these. So for now, I've just put down some EnviroMesh that I already had, just to stop the birds nibbling at the onions, and I'll order some tonight. I'm going to need quite a lot actually to go over this area with the onions and the garlic. But for now, that feels like a good job well done, and it's time to get shoveling. I'm definitely warming up just from moving one barrel load so far. Now I have a little bit of a predicament in terms of I'm not sure where I'm going to put all of this. I was probably a little bit premature with ordering it, because I still need to do some bed clearing before I can pop it on the beds. I might clear the runner beans so I can put some on the beds, and then I'm thinking I might peel back this plastic area where I'm killing off the grass to create a no-dig bed and pile it up under here, because then it can start to rot down into where I will have a bed eventually. one bean frame down. I'm going to leave the other one for now because there are a few little beans drying out still. I did save 2 tiny beans from this one because they are looking pretty. Little purple beans. So I might try and sow those next year. We'll see. I am going to actually add that first barrow of manure onto my compost heap here. And I'm going to go and get another one. I've got a very long way to go with the moving of the manure. I think I'm going to be able to just get a few more barrels today, and it's going to be a lovely glamorous work from home lunchtime job tomorrow, I think, to move a little bit more. I've also just remembered that I sowed some broad bean seeds the other day, and I've got them with me and they've sprouted already and they're eager to get in the ground. So you can see they're sprouting up here now as well, and you can also see the beans have kind of pushed through the soil. So last year, or this year in spring, I sowed them in the same modules, the CD 30, no, 60, 30 I think, yes 30, from Charles Dowding on container wise. But I buried the seed in a lot deeper so that when it grew, just the tip came out and the roots were coming out the bottom like this, whereas I sowed these, as you'll see, a lot higher on the top, so they have pushed out through here, which is absolutely fine. It just means they're itching to get in the ground. I feel like I'm really racing against the clock today with the sun setting earlier. I really should have come down a bit sooner. So let's crack on with this. I'm surprised I haven't shown this already, or you might have noticed I am a very clumsy person. So I've just knocked my seed tray of beans, but thankfully I think they'll be okay. So I'm going to get my dibber and pop these in the ground here. I've popped these ones in a little bit deeper, and the ones that are higher, I'm going to make sure they're covered with enough of a compost layer over the top to protect them over winter. Just having a little sit down for a minute. I feel very tired now, so I am going to leave you here. I will carry on doing a little bit more of moving the manure before I head home, because it's definitely starting to get dark now. I was going to say the sun is setting. The sun has not been out today. It's just been permanently grey, and I think it's permanently grey for as far as I can see on the weather forecast for this week. So at least it's not raining. Thank you ever so much for joining me at the allotment this week, and I will see you again soon. Bye.